Hi, so I've moved from the UK, where I had a lovely electric car, to here in Denmark, where I have no electric car. It would be handy to have a car, and I will only have ones that are zero tailpipe emissions. And I have the opportunity with this Mini-Lease scheme from Sixt, partnering with the big energy company E.ON, to get a Renault ZOE 41 kilowatt hour for 1 month only, a flexible kind of mini-lease, 1 month only, all inclusive, so that's insurance, and a charging fob for E.ON rapid chargers and slow chargers for 4,000 Danish crowns per month. So that's about £490 sterling, 535 euros, or about 595 US dollars. All in, no long-term commitment, and a car to use all to myself for 1 month, an electric car. So why am I so hesitant to do this? First, is it that I miss the creature comforts of my Hyundai IONIQ Electric, which is one of the best electric cars in the world in its kind of segment? Or two, is it just an overload of new things and I don't want more things to think about given all the kind of idiosyncratic Danish systems and things I have to deal with at the moment? Three, is it just a worry about spending more money? Or four, is it that thinking about getting an electric car here in this new rental home where I know I pretty much can't install a home charger and can't charge from home, is that dredging up all these things that actually I took a long time to get used to in the UK, driving electric cars, and I just don't want to go through again. So let's talk about those things in this video. So let's go through these things one by one, and excuse the rather strange cardboard in the corner. There's barely any furniture in this new place that we've rented. I've moved since the video last week, and I'm using these cardboard boxes that come from the bed mattresses as a way of stopping the echoes, because there's very horrible sharp echoes in here at the moment, and I like good sound, and it's difficult to control the acoustics in here at the moment. So first then, let's talk about how easy it is to get into something like a Renault ZOE electric car, which I consider to be a kind of entry-level electric car, especially the ones with the 20 kilowatt hour battery. It's not having a go at them, or anyone who owns a ZOE. They're a very kind of good way to get into electric cars, I think. They're a kind of small, maneuverable car. They do what they're supposed to do. They get you from A to B, and I know there's a refresh coming, which I am interested in. The car for me is a bit on the small side, although I did manage to move, although it's just me moving and it's just the contents of 2 suitcases and a kind of hand luggage. And I've managed to buy furniture in the ZOE, so I'm not really having a go at the ZOE. It is usable, and it does some things fairly well. I find it fairly basic to drive. It's got good pickup in a city setting, but not much beyond that. And I don't like the kind of map and the infotainment system. It drove me nuts the other day when I was off to go and get some furniture. But the ZOE is a capable car. It's available quite affordably. But I do notice particularly that from my IONIQ, I miss things like the auto hold, being able to just press the brake when you've come to a stop and the car holds, and you don't have to keep your foot on the brake or put the handbrake up or put it in park. I also miss the kind of lane keeping assist and the adaptive cruise control, and I particularly miss the regenerative braking pedals actually from my IONIQ, because I use those a lot when I drive that particular electric car. I'm quite dynamic with it, I get good efficiency, but I enjoy it as well. I actually enjoy kind of the process of going through, getting an efficient drive out of it. I find that aspect of being efficient in the car more enjoyable than, or almost as enjoyable as driving a sports car, which I've done once or twice in my life. So yeah, I certainly miss the IONIQ's more logical and more capable infotainment system, and the fact that it's got Apple CarPlay in it, so that I can have Waze and Google Maps and so on integrated into it. And the built-in map system's pretty good anyway. The one in the ZOE that I've been renting through the Tadar scheme by the half hour, I'm happy that there is a navigation system there and I can change it to English to help me out. But I find it annoying and a bit basic, and I don't like the size of the screen, I don't like the graphics, it's not clear. And when I plugged my phone into it buying furniture the other day, it blasted my music at me and I couldn't get my voice commands off my phone or off the car and various things. These things are all about getting used to a car. I can't remember how long it took me to get used to my IONIQ before I could, know all the various systems. But overall, I don't think it's missing my IONIQ that is putting me off renting a Renault ZOE for a month. I don't think that's it. I do miss some of the creature comforts, but that's not the main thing that's putting me off. The second thing then, just overload. So, oh my lord, have there been so many things to deal with since coming to Denmark. Way more than I expected. Some of them just completely unexpected to do with the way that things are done here. The type of rental accommodation you get on an open-ended basis doesn't have furniture, doesn't have blinds, doesn't have light fittings on the ceiling. Dealing with many more utility companies than I would do in the UK, and just trying to sort various things out has put me in a bit of an overload. So maybe that's why I'm not thinking about this rental thing. It's just one more hassle. and everything seems to take longer than it should, and nothing is ever done in one email or one telephone call, and that's rather draining, particularly trying to get used to things. The hot water didn't work when I moved in here, and I thought it was me, but then I thought, well, I'm not silly, and there's not much more I can do than turn on the hot water tap, because there's this district hot water here, which is something that we don't have in the UK. Very interesting, something to look into. Denmark and district hot water, if you're interested in that. But I'm not familiar with it. It wasn't working when I moved in. There's a bamboozling amount of technology downstairs in the utility cupboard here. And yeah, that's kind of overwhelming. And, the cognitive load of all of that is pushing out any opportunity for me to think about kind of transport things, to be frank. And then the third thing, just money. Not wanting to put down lump sums of money for anything, really, given that I'm having to buy furniture, sorting out things in the UK. The house sale is hopefully going through, but still I have to move my things here from the UK, move my family from the UK, and there's just costs everywhere. I've never seen so much money fly out of my accounts in my life, and it's terrifying. I realise it's a long-term investment. We're moving to Denmark not just for kind of short-term opportunities, but long-term for my family, for my wife, for my children, and for them to have a better life, hopefully. So I'm trying to kind of absorb all this short-term pain in terms of the huge thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds that are flying around. But on the basis of that, I'm weighing up things like having an electric car for a month, as convenient as that would be, against, replacing some of my musical instruments that I've had to sell in the UK because it's too expensive to move them here, or against, the price of an office chair, or against some other essential. And I'm just thinking, no, I don't want to spend more money. Please, I don't want to spend more money. The fourth thing then, which is brought on by the second aspect of just, cognitive load and overload with new things. I guess I'd kind of forgotten how well I'd configured things for myself in the UK to make having an electric car easy. Here in this rental property, there is an outdoor socket, but I have been advised against charging from home on these sockets because Danish wiring apparently can't handle the high amp loads for long periods of time, and it could be a fire risk, I guess. And I think with a Renault ZOE, which is available on this rental deal, you can't sort of step down the trickle charge amp rate. I could do that on my IONIQ Electric with the granny cable, the trickle charger, the 3-pin plug. You can step it down to a lower amps, so it's safer, and it's not just then an emergency option, but you could do it, I guess, as a regular option. But it would be doable, and certainly as an emergency way of having some charge to get to a local charger, it's doable. With the Renault ZOE, I don't know if it'll do that. I know that it's a bit finicky around the earth connection and so on, and other specific things to do with the chameleon charger in the ZOE. I know that those things exist. But then I'm having to retrace the thought process and solving problems that I did in the UK when I had my Hyundai IONIQ Electric and the Nissan Leaf before it, in terms of thinking, where will I charge, when will I charge, how will this actually work? So I've been having to think here, if I had a Renault ZOE here, there's a rapid charger that would work on the E.ON scheme, like a few kilometres away in one direction. There's a few slow posts around that aren't close to my house, and there's a rapid charger on the ring road, again, a few kilometres away. So I would be thinking about charging almost all the time, I think, with having this car. And with a Renault ZOE, with, I think, a 22 kilowatt charge rate maximum, and a 41 kilowatt hour battery, I'm not sure if that's usable or just the kind of nominal capacity of it, you'd be looking at 2 hours to rapid charge. That doesn't appeal to me at all. So I would have to just be doing little top-ups all the time, and I doubt I would ever have it at 100%. So I wouldn't be able to use the full range of it. And that kind of offsets the benefit of having it, because having it is not just to do city runs, which I can use the Tadar scheme for now, although I'm now many kilometres from where that car is parked. But it's not ideal, and I wish I could get a deal on a better car. I wish there was an IONIQ Electric available for 1 month. I know there's this Go More thing, which I still intend to try, which is like a Danish version of Turo. But it's a bit, I've looked at it, and there's limitations around that because it's owners renting out their cars when they don't want to use them, and that's not necessarily matching up with when I want to use it. Plus I have to kind of go to them and pick it up and so on. I will try it, but it's not ideal. So I just wish there was a different option available, one where I had a kind of trickle charge, at least for a little bit of charging at home or topping up at home, and I wasn't constantly having to rely on the public infrastructure, which isn't near here, and it's going to be me waiting hours at even rapid chargers and many hours at slow chargers. If I'm kind of walking back and forth where the car is and having to kind of do other things while it's charging, that's really not ideal. And I don't know if I really want that right now, given how many things I'm doing, and given that there's this perfectly usable Tadar scheme. So to wrap up on the kind of Renault ZOE thing then, I may do it, I'm not sure. It's really, it has some appeal. It's not as cheap as I'd like it to be, but it is. I can see the kind of self-contained nature of it, that it's, have a car for a month and don't worry about anything else. You've got the charging chip, you've got the car, you've got insurance. So we'll see. The next video may be about me having a Renault ZOE for a month. I don't know, we'll see. It depends on if the kind of mood takes me and the other kind of things settle a bit to give me a bit more clearer thinking space. So just a quick update on other things I'm doing then. As I said at the video when explaining the cardboard boxes, I have moved again. So that's moving from the UK and moving again here within a period of about 50 days, which is quite draining. There's a lot to do in this rental place, although the rental place itself is lovely. It's the nicest house I've ever lived in anywhere in the world. I think it's fabulous. The location is stunning. There's so much nature here, it's so calm and quiet. It seems to be a family area, which should be great for my kids. And there's various things around that I haven't discovered, not too far away. There's great bakers, and there's this amazing thing called the Brabantstien, which is like a dedicated cycle path that goes around some lakes that aren't too far away, and all the way into downtown Aarhus. And I just sort of stumbled upon that today as I was giving the Swap Feets bike a go. I've still got the Swap Feets bike, per month rental bike. I've actually cancelled my agreement, so I will return it sometime in August because I really would prefer an electrically assisted bike. And I keep spotting things, like the other day on the way to work I spotted someone in an Orca velomobile. I think an electrically assisted Orca velomobile, so that's a kind of covered trike, recumbent trike bicycle with some electric assist, and that looked amazing. Unfortunately, it went past me so fast I barely got the camera out, so I've only got a little bit of footage of it, but that was cool to see. And then I've also been seeing some three-wheelers with cargo or child transporting ability on the front where the wheels tilt to get around that instability of the electrically assisted kind of cargo trike bike I tried. It's very cool, but the problem is that I'm finding that I need transport to go and investigate my transport options. So this is why I've even been thinking about the 1 month rental of the ZOE, because I need a quicker way of getting around than on my feet and on the bus and on the bicycle. That would kill me if I go up too many hills at the moment. I'd like to get fitter, but still. I need transport to explore transport, and I guess that's a problem for many people who don't have a car, can't afford a car, don't have access to a car. So that's a bit of a catch-22 situation at the moment, and I'm trying to work through that. I think another issue here is that, with electric cars, yes, there's a number of options, but I think it's a very small number of options, especially when you narrow it down to the cars you could actually feasibly buy. With electric bikes, there are just so many different options. It's overwhelming, actually. There are too many options from my point of view as someone who doesn't know about this particular technology. At the same time, they all seem to have a similar kind of power spec. They're all in a very similar kind of band of pricing. So it's difficult to distinguish between them all and get the kind of unique characteristics and the ones that might be best for me. And that requires a lot of research and going and looking at them and testing at them, which you need transport to do that, unless you want to spend all your days doing that, and I have a full-time job here, so that's not going to happen. But to wrap up though, anyway, overall I'm feeling very positive. I may look a bit hot and stressed and drained, and I probably am hot and stressed and drained, but that's not a problem. I'm enjoying things here. It's fun thinking about all these things. I pretty much went from a situation of having this amazing, one of the best electric cars in the world in its segment to, having to rethink the whole thing. And that can be stressful, but it can also be really liberating, I think, because I'm questioning a lot of my assumptions. And there's the possibility here to explore a lot of new exciting things that I wouldn't have no chance or no interest at looking at in the UK because of, the cycling infrastructure in the UK isn't there. So actually, it's a lot of fun. It's exhausting. I hope you're enjoying watching it and following it on the channel. I appreciate all the comments people have been giving me. That's absolutely invaluable because I just do not have the time or the energy to look into all the different nuances, and there's lots of things I don't understand, and I'm kind of diving in at the deep end. And I'm really, really grateful for all the comments and people kind of reaching out and saying, have a look at this, give this a go, go to this website and so on. So, feel free to keep doing that. I very much appreciate it. I'm reading every comment. I try to reply to every comment if I can. And yeah, overall, it's great. I'm really looking forward. The next step is bringing my family here as soon as possible. And that's going to open up a whole new adventure and, whole new chapter in the transport thing as well, because I'll see what is possible without a car, or do we immediately need a car to be able to move the family around? Yeah, so there's a lot more to come on that front, and it's all going to be kind of zero tailpipe stuff. So that's all good. So please do feel free to subscribe and ding the notifications just in case some of the keywords of my videos don't match up with IONIQ and so on. And yeah, thanks for watching and bye for now.